Welcome to the second episode of Raising Larry. My name is Maud.
My name is Yusuf.
And we're not going zero dark 30 mode like LeBron.
No.
We're going to keep it going, don't worry. So today on the agenda, we're going to be talking about Kyrie and the Celtics, how they're impacted. We're going to go on to the Western Conference, and we're going to finish up with a little MVP discussion.
Yeah, so this Kyrie news really broke the headlines because from what I was hearing from like Boston fans and Boston sports blogs, it was like, you know, he might come back round one, but like kind of like definitely round two sort of thing. So I was really shocked to hear that he was out the whole time. But the thing that I kept like going back to was, remember when he was threatening Cleveland with knee surgery if they didn't trade him? How we all thought like, you know, oh, that's just a big bluff. Or I think like he actually needed the knee surgery.
Yeah, he probably needed it.
So I don't know. It all felt like some bad karma sort of thing. Because like, look, Boston, Kyrie forced his way out of Boston, or forced his way out of Cleveland, and then look what happens to Boston. They lost their best player 5 minutes in, or their second best player 5 minutes into the season, and then they lose Kyrie to what he threatened to Cleveland, to what he wanted to do. So I don't know. It all seemed kind of weird. That team had like a really nice energy around it, especially with that young core and Brad Stevens. Jason Tatum was playing really well lately. But me personally, I don't see them playing well in the playoffs without Kyrie Irving. I know that, what was their record without Kyrie the last few games? What is it like?
Well, since he's been out, it's been 13 games, and those 13 games, there have been 8-5.
Yeah, so 8-5, I mean, they're playing solid. Tatum went through a little bit of a rookie wall earlier, but I think since Kyrie's back, he's been playing pretty well. Yeah. But, I mean, if the matchups stay the same right now, where they'll play Miami in the first round, I'm just trusting the experience. That head coach is really experienced. Spoelstra is really, really good. You've got Dwayne Wade, who's always going to have his one game in the series, so he'll win you one game. You got Goran Dragic, who's been there. Dwayne Wade's been there. You've got a bunch of like really good role players as well. And when I look at that Boston Celtics starting lineup, I see a lot of youth, and I don't really see that much experience besides what Al Horford did with Atlanta. So, and he was there for that Eastern Conference run last year. But what do you think? Who do you think would win that series right now without Kyrie, with the way that the young core is playing for Boston right now?
Yeah, the Kyrie loss was like big news because everybody thought, you know, just like you said, he was going to be out for like the first round or something. But then hearing that he's out for the rest of the season, like everybody, like, wow. You just think that you're going to have him, you're going to have your all-star back and have your best player back. You're expecting you're going to the playoffs with this little run you have, and then you just lose him, and then now you're going to have to rely on all your young players. So honestly, I don't think they'll get to the championship, obviously. NBA championship, definitely not. But Eastern Conference championship, I really don't think so.
I don't think they win the first series.
I think they do. I think they'll beat Miami. Miami's been 13-10 since the All-Star break, and they've been inconsistent. They've been getting a couple wins here, a couple losses there, you know. So it just really depends on which Heat team shows up. And with this all this Hassan Whiteside drama going on, who knows if he's going to be playing down the wire or whatnot. He's definitely the best big man. But there's not much he'll be able to do against the mobile Al Horford and just the mobile players of the Celtics, you know.
Yeah, and Al Horford's really smart. Like, he's got a really high basketball IQ. When I think of Hassan Whiteside, I don't really think of, like, the cerebral type of player.
And Al Horford's he's not scared to shoot the three. So this guy's been averaging 13, 6, and 4 since Kyrie has been out. Those are all season highs so far. More than his season averages. Tatum's been 17, 6, and 3, 43% from the three. That's awesome for a rookie. And then Jaylen Brown has really stepped up, 56% from the three, 16, 4, and 2. And then the role players, Rozier, 15, 6, and 5, and Morris is 19, 5, and 1. All more than their season averages. So I think they'll be good. Miami has only been averaging 94 points the past 3 times they played, and
You don't trust their inexperience? Like, do you think Terry Rozier could lead a team as the point in a playoff series?
I don't think they really need a leader. I think Brad Stevens knows how to get them to play together.
Coach of the year, I think
probably definitely top 2, top 3, and Boston has the highest defensive rating. So I think they'll be able to play as a team. They'll be able to work well. They have been playing well, and as long as they can stop Miami, Boston's going to get their offense from somewhere. They're all good offensive threats. They've had a couple good wins in the past games without Kyrie. They beat OKC, they beat Portland, they beat Utah, but they did lose to Milwaukee and New Orleans. But and then their toughest matchup is probably going to be Toronto, but they're 1-1 against Toronto. But I don't think they'll even see them because I think they'll get knocked out before that. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I look at this first round matchup, I see really good coaching on both sides because you got the Coach of the Year candidate right now, and you got the former NBA champion. Really good coaches. I think that with Miami, they're a really fun team because if they're all clicking, I think that they can go head to head with most people in the East. And I think that a Boston team without Kyrie Irving is kind of opening up an opportunity for Miami because if Goran Dragic plays the way that we've seen him play before, if Dwayne Wade has those few games of veteran leadership or that big-time shot down the stretch, Hassan Whiteside I don't really trust. But when I look at Miami, I think that they can be really dangerous against a team like Boston who's missing their 2 best players. We keep forgetting about Gordon Hayward.
Yeah.
But I really like Jason Tatum, but he's never played in a playoff game before, and we don't know how he's going to adjust. And we all know that come playoff time that the game slows down. Calls are less frequent to come by. Coaches are more honing in on every little detail. So we still haven't seen how Jason Tatum will be able to adjust to that. But I think it's going to be a good matchup. I definitely think that Boston would have won had Kyrie been there, but I think that right now, with him being out, that it opens the door for Miami to sneak by.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think Boston's going to pull it through. They'll probably lose in the second round. We'll see. They'll probably face Philly, and pretty sure Philly, right? So if they face Philly, then they'll be at a disadvantage if Embiid and currently Sarge got hurt. So if Sarge is back too, then with all of them there, I don't think they'll be able to beat them.
All right, let's go ahead and shift our topic to the West, where it seems like the playoff seeding is never going to be solidified. Yeah. We've got a matchup for kind of like a winner-take-all. Those first time.
Yeah. I think it was first time since 1998 or 1988, something like that, where the 8th and 9th place is battling to be in the playoffs. Minnesota and Denver this year.
Yeah, really, really intriguing teams. 2 teams that are fairly young. They've got 2 really good big men who can't play defense at all. So that'll be something to look for. They're playing tomorrow, right?
Yeah, they're going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Minnesota's going to pull this one out because they're such a different team when Jimmy Butler's on the court. What was their record without him? 10-14? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was really bad.
And ever since, I mean, he's been back 2 games. They've won both of those games. But I just trust that Jimmy Butler's veteran leadership to go with the playmaking ability of Karl-Anthony Towns and to have Wiggins as the 3rd option, not as a top 2 option. I think that'll give them enough firepower to beat the Nuggets tomorrow night and propel themselves onto that 8th seed.
Yeah, it's going to go down to the backcourt. It's going to be a battle between Wiggins and Teague against Murray and Barton. I think the front court is going to be pretty evenly matched. I think it's going to be a really high offensive scoring game, but it's really going to go down to Teague and Wiggins and how they want to perform tomorrow. Minnesota clearly won their past 2 games with Jimmy back, so they're obviously at a big advantage there. And Jimmy Butler is easily the best thing that could have happened to them recently. So yeah, I definitely think they're going to win. But the only thing is, Denver is on a winning streak. I think they won 6 in a row now.
Yeah, they've been hot.
They've been hot. So we'll see how that pans out. And Minnesota, I think is going to win too. but that's probably going to be it. They won't win. They won't They won't be a challenge for Houston in the playoffs. So.
Okay, so here's my question: which team out of those two, Minnesota and Denver, do you think would not? I don't think either team would beat Houston, but which team do you think would give them the most run for their money?
I think Minnesota would. To be honest, I think Minnesota would. I think they're more of a defensive team than Denver.
Yeah, definitely. I think also they've got. I know that Denver's got some high offensive potential, especially when they've got Jamal Murray playing lights out and Jokic and Paul Millsap. But I feel like with Minnesota, I think Karl Anthony Towns could be that X factor in a playoff series.
I mean, Capella won't be able to guard him. Capella definitely won't be able to guard him. So
we haven't seen it yet, but I think that he could be a player that could win like 1 or 2 games for them in that series. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that no matter who advances, I think that the series is going to be over in 5, like a gentleman's sweep. You know, like Houston loses one on the road. But I don't know. I'm excited. I hope Minnesota makes it because I feel like they've been touted as that team that's going to make the playoffs forever. You know what I mean? So it'd be nice to finally see it happen.
I mean, they got Jimmy. They got Taj Gibson last year. I mean, they have a pretty solid team, to be honest. There's big names on the squad. Jamal Crawford coming on the bench now. He's not that big of a role anymore. But
you know, I heard on Reddit somebody said that he was the least valuable player in the NBA.
Well, he went from being like 6-man to this guy, man. That's crazy.
I really like Jamal Crawford too. I really like watching him play.
And don't forget, D Rose is on the team too now, coming off the bench. So if he can bring his playoff experience.
Wait, did you see those highlights that he had the other night? It was like where he had that really, really nice under the basket pass. I forgot who it was to, but it reminded me of some pre-injury Derrick Rose.
Yeah, but we'll see. Maybe he'll be able to bring out a little bit of the young ISO Derrick Rose back, a little bit of the dunking and game 3 game-winning shot D Rose back.
All right, maybe let's switch over to MVP.
It's going to be a kind of short podcast, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry for the rushing, the speeding through of this one. We'll promise we'll do better next week. But our final topic for today is going to be our MVP candidates and who we think is actually going to win.
I think we all know that there are like probably about 3 or 4 people who have kind of solidified themselves. You know, they've gone up a tier. But for me, I think the MVP is James Harden. I think that with the numbers that he's been putting up, leading the league in scoring, 3rd in assists, and having his team clinch the number 1 record in the West, probably in the league, that team is just it's playing outstanding right now, and I think that he is the central reason why. I think that he's being used properly right now with Mike D'Antoni's system, but I think that James Harden is just playing lights out, and he's been snubbed the past few years. So I think I personally would have given it to him last year too. So this has just been a long time coming for him. I think that he deserves it, and I think he'll get it this year.
I think it's going to be LeBron. This guy, LeBron, man, he's arguably the GOAT now. He's doing 27 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. This guy's doing everything. 3-point percentage, 37%. That's really good for him. Just anybody in general, too. 54% from the field and 72% from the free throw line, which he can do better. But, you know, this is LeBron. When you watch him play, you can tell he's a most valuable player candidate, if not the most valuable player. He's a GOAT, man. Just seeing after all the injuries Cavs been through, seeing all the drama and everything.
Yeah, I think Kevin Love's played like 3 games.
Yeah, no, it seems like LeBron's the only like superstar on their team when they had D-Wade, when they had K-Love, you know. Everybody else has gone missing. Thank God they brought in, you know, Rodney Hood, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance. They brought
remember that like one game, that first game where they all played and everybody thought the Cavs were like fixed?
Yeah, but you know, they lost their fair share of games, but they also won their fair share of games. And all LeBron, he's been doing everything for them. He's probably takes a couple plays off during the game, but this guy deserves it. He does literally everything for them. He goes hard every second of the day. And
you don't think it matters that his team is in 4th right now in the East?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the people that vote for MVP will definitely take a look at the wins and whatnot. But not being 4th is not that bad. Granted, it's the East. They're only 50 and 30 right now, 31 right now. So 50 wins is still good. Having a 50 wins